Hi, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Briefcase. It's me again, Paul Blaine. I'm sure you've got used to me by now, but a couple of things for you. First of all, if you've stumbled across this podcast from somewhere and you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, that's quite good, there's lots of other episodes that have been recorded. So all you got to do is jump over to YouTube or Spotify. Marketing team will tell me all these other things, but I can't remember. You'll find us. Even if you just type my name into LinkedIn, you'll get a link to it. So just have a look, because we have had some amazing people on this podcast, from the world of marketing to the world of tech to serial entrepreneurs to top salespeople, care owners and operators, investors. There's so many people that you could actually look at and watch. We've even had huge activists or influencers on it. I mean, one of the episodes that I keep referring people to is a lady called Paula McGowan, who was the mother of Oliver McGowan, which is a huge thing, and rightly so, within the world of health and social care at the moment, particularly around the training that evolves from that. So to get to hear directly from the mom who campaigned and got law and legislation changed, it's a good, insightful hour as to why. But as I said, there's lots of others. There's even a Christmas special where we had 10 entrepreneurs in a room at the same time talking to them. So again, just tune in, have a look, but make sure you hit the subscribe and follow button, and then you'll get all the updates that come through as well. Now, should we have a look at today's guest? Because today's guest, I'm so excited by this, simply because a lot of us in the business world, some of us started later in business, some of us started early, but often on Behind the Briefcase, you're speaking to the person that's been doing it for a long, long time. And they're normally coming to the end of, that's wrong, they'll kill me for that. But they're normally coming to a point in their career where they want to put something back. They want to give some information back. They want to help the emerging entrepreneurs coming up. And it's not very often we get someone that's fresh to it in reality. Now, they may think they're not fresh to it, but for someone as old in the years as me, they're very much fresh to it. So I'm sure I'm going to be envious in this conversation and reflecting back myself at moments in time. But this story and this person is quite incredible. So I'm absolutely delighted today to introduce you to Bailey Greetham-Clark of Be Great Fitness. So Bailey, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Really, really cool stuff. I always love jumping on podcasts because I said to you before this, it gives me a chance to sort of slow down and reflect on what's maybe been going on in the last, months, years. I think, as you said there, the business owners that you maybe had on here and folks that are listening are in that environment where you just never get a chance to stop. So this is nice for the viewers to get a chance to stop and learn, and for me to get a chance to stop and reflect.
Absolutely. And there's been so many people that have come on the podcast and then contacted me earlier or spoken on other podcasts where they've said it's the first time that they actually stood back from the painting they created to see how they had put it together. Yeah. And that the worlds are 100 miles an hour all the time. That ultimately what we tend to be doing is dealing with problem after problem. I'm not saying that that's how business works, but certainly as you go larger in growth, etc., like that, and you build teams around you, they deal with all the nice stuff. Yeah. You have to deal with all the other stuff, like the accountant, the tax man, the audit, the insurance.
2 more hairs fall off of my head if you said those words.
You tend to get less of the nice stuff, and everybody else gets to run around high-fiving each other. So yeah, absolutely. But it's nice to actually look at the journey, how it happened, and sometimes just pat yourself on the bloody back for taking the risk.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know if we give ourselves enough credit, but I think everyone has their own stories and reasons behind it. So to stop and say, I've done a good job it's probably very difficult for people who are still in their own heads at the very beginning of the journey.
That's it. You never get there. You can never get there because you don't know what there is. You always start off with the why. Why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? But it's a bit like I know from yourself, one of the things that I've seen, and it's a great way to start, is you made a statement, community first, fitness second, which we'll come to as we go further along. But there's no number on that. is
No.
it
Well,
the world community? Because all of a sudden it becomes a world community. It's like,
yeah.
how do we get there? So it starts with your own community first, and then evolve it on.
I think to have a goal is perhaps to limit yourself, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
Paul. I think goals limit our potential. So just to be limitless, to have no goals and just achieve as much as possible is really the true goal.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. Great thing. Okay, shall we get cracking on this? Shall we find
Yeah,
out a bit more about you? Right.
let's do it.
Okay. Normally, what I would do is turn around to a guest and say, "Take me back to when you were at school. Talk me through your
Couple
childhood.
years
Talk
back,
me through
couple
parents,
years.
things like that." But actually, certain things that I've researched on you, looked on you, listened to talks that you've done, it made me think, God, I already have a load of questions on this. So,
There's a
and the
fair
thing
whack about me on the internet these
there
days. Yeah,
is, there is.
I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah, you are. But I love the fact that you are very transparent and truthful, and I think that's helped people associate with you. The one thing that I love that associated with me, and the amount of business people that I've interviewed who say the exact same thing, is school was not the best years of your life. And
Yeah,
I think you even used the word, I hated school and I dropped out of it for a year.
I did.
So tell me why. Why did it not associate with you?
I just didn't. I just never felt like I really wanted to be there. I felt like from a young age, I really was keen on just getting into the working real world. I felt like school was just something that just seemed to have lasted for a very long time, and I couldn't wait to finish it. I don't know why. The thought of being locked in a classroom with mandatory lessons that I had no interest in was really, such a struggle for me. I wanted to get out into the world and do rather than learn. I know now looking back, that's the wrong mindset. I'm not promoting getting away from school. So the biggest advice I try to give now, if I'm even allowed to give advice, I'm very early on in my career, but is to sit and to learn and to sit and to do the groundwork first, because then when you go to do, it's a little bit easier to do when you have some of that baseline knowledge. Obviously, it's good to try and fail again until you succeed. But yeah, I was very impatient, very agitated. And it's not something I'm proud of, but it was just me. And I just wanted to get out and start.
Did you know at school, or did you have a dream of what it was you were going to do or be?
No, I'm not a businessman. I'm not an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be. My dad was self-employed at a very young age, but my relationship with my dad has only just been rekindled at the age of about 14, 15. He sort of left the scene at a very early age, maybe 5 or 6 years old. So I didn't really see much of his self-employed and business life anyway. So I hadn't had a thought around starting a business. I think for me, when I was young, I really wanted to go into the army. I desperately seeked adventure. And at that time, the army seemed like the most exciting adventure possible. I was, desperately seeking escapism, perhaps. I wanted to be busy and to live a fulfilling and exciting life. Whatever that might have been, I didn't know. I just knew whatever got me out the quickest was what I wanted. So I tried to go down that route.
See, I can relate exactly what you're saying. So from about the age of probably about 7, I decided I was going to be a professional jockey, not a disc jockey
Yeah.
riding horses. And so, so once I had set my mind to that, I became so independent at
Yeah.
such an early age that I was writing off to racehorse trainers all across the country, asking if I could live with them for the summer holidays. And amazingly, in those days and age, they would write back and say, yes, I would be like a 9-year-old heading off 100 miles in the summer holidays to live with a complete stranger. So my parents would have had social services all over them if it was the current climate. But in saying that, it did learn me very quick. It made me grow up very quick. School, therefore, was holding me back because the only time I could do everything that I wanted to do was in the school breaks. So I literally went into lessons wondering, why do I need this? Why do I need that? This is pointless. But yeah, I knew that even though teachers and that were kind of like pushing me all the time because I was in the lower sets, because my attention range to it was, this is boring. This is rugby. I knew I was quite clever because if you'd asked me who had won the last 100 Grand Nationals, I could tell you the top 10 order of every Grand National, or the Derby, or the
Yeah.
bloodline of a certain racehorse. So I knew if I was passionate about something, then all of a sudden
Your energy and effort went into it.
So I know what you're saying, because I would have to be an advocate of go to school and learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I do believe that learning has to follow passion.
It does.
So once you actually do something that ignites you, then you want to consume and learn as much about that as you possibly can. And I think that goes into adult life.
Don't get me wrong. You know, I didn't go to school throughout the 8th year of school. Got back in as soon as I felt confident. I found boxing, I found exercise, I found sport. It changed things around for me. It really gave me the lessons I needed, the male authority, the community aspect that I desperately craved. You know, people in my life to guide me and to work with me, so, you know, to feel part of something. And that got me back on track. And when I got back into school, I got my head down. I did the work, and I left school with some really quite good grades. So even winning an educational award, which was something I never, ever thought I'd have won. Like, that was a real crazy time for me. I was like 15. I was boxing around the UK. I was winning and losing plenty of bouts, and got put forward to this educational award. I thought, you know, I'm not a Brady kid. I'm not a very intelligent fella. Like, I don't believe I should win an educational award. I think it was just my story that turned it around for me. So we showed up on the night at this hotel in Scunthorpe, big up Scunthorpe, and I took my grandma, and she dressed up so glamorously. She, bless her, she was so proud, because my grandparents took me in at about early teens to try and give me a bit of a second chance to get me back on the straight and narrow. And so she was incredibly proud of me, and we won the award on that night. I was 15. I remember we went to PGL as a well done for something we did in sports studies, and I had to go to PGL for a couple of days, and then I had to shoot back up for this awards because the school was really desperate to get me there. And then I came back down for PGL, and I felt like a bit of a rock star at 15, jetting from PGL to awards night. So I didn't really think I could get an educational award, but it was nice. So, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, school wasn't for me, but I realized what I had to do, and boxing helped me. And I got back into school, and I did the work. I put the work in, I got the grades, and that was it. You know, I left with, I passed everything in school. So yeah, I was really, every GCSE I took, I passed.
Do you know what, though, Bailey? Boxing is an amazing thing. I was always sort of like, growing up as a child, it seemed to be a northern thing that you had to learn how to box. But, you know, in more recent times, sort of certainly over the last 5 years, and this is something that my daughter has publicly talked about as well, so she won't feel too bad for me saying it. She went through a rough time. She was being bullied at school, and it was quite severe. Became very anxious, confidence levels through the floor, and I know you can associate with that. Hated herself to a degree, felt that there was something different with her, that she couldn't be included in other social circumstances as a young girl. And I took her down to a boxing gym, and she fell in love with it immediately and found it as the safest place that she could ever be, even though she's going to ring. And even now, you know, she is with a professional boxing gym. She's still an amateur. We just got back from Sweden the other week for the girls' Bronze Cup.
How did she do?
She got bronze, so she's doing really well. But it's just the circle, the network, the fact that, you know, the weirdness that she feels safe stepping in a ring and punching somebody in the face and getting punched.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird place. When everything quiets down, quiets down. You can't hear a thing in the ring. When you get in and it's just you and your opponent, there's no crowd, there's no universe, there's no world. You feel like you're on a floating ring in the middle of space. It's a weird place to be, but very special. And not everyone can get in the ring. It's a tough sport.
But this is the thing. It is such bravery to do it. Anybody that will do it, extremely brave. It's slightly, I would say, challenged to a degree as well to want to continue to do it. Being punched in the face isn't a nice thing, but actually it's a skill, it's the respect and the discipline.
There's no better feeling than someone smashing your face to bits. It really is the best release of chemicals and endorphins. If I had a bad week, I getting in the ring and just letting someone go hell to leather on you was just fantastic. It sounds really effed up saying that, but
Yeah.
there was no better feeling than getting smashed up, smashing someone up, and not in a aggressive way at all,
No.
because there's no aggression, in a skill, in a competitive way. And for most people that get into that sport, maybe they weren't big football players, maybe they get involved in rugby, maybe they weren't competitive, and maybe they thought they even weren't capable of being competitive. And then they get into boxing and they learn the art of it and the skill of it and the discipline of it. And all of a sudden you find somebody that you didn't know was inside. You didn't realize that was you. And you get to unlock a different version of you. And that set me up to, incredibly well for business and for the adult world, just knowing that, right, you've got something coming up. You're going to train hard for it. You're going to work hard for it. You're going to do everything that needs to be done. You're going to go to that challenge and know by the time you get to the bow, or in the business world and the grown-up world, know that you've done everything, absolutely everything possible. And whatever happens on the night or in the board meeting or in the pitch, deep down, there was nothing more you could have done. You gave it your all. And that's really set me up, because it's taught you that you have to show up and you have to put the work in. And even if you lose, you're proud because you put the graft, you grafted, you put a shift in.
Absolutely. I'm interested though, Bailey. I mean, if you when you were at schooling or in mainstream education, you had thoughts about being in the army. You found boxing. Both of these are termed as, and Gracie, my daughter, would say the same thing. Both of these are really a family unit, a brotherhood or sisterhood of people.
Community.
Yeah.
Community.
So it's interesting that for yourself, with the drop out of school and then going back and then, excelling at that point, overcoming a lot of obstacles, that you kind of wanted to find yourself into a situation where you were part of something.
We're meant to be together. We thrive in human connection. And believe it or not, this day of age, it's become very difficult to connect with other humans. So I think anywhere that we find a community that we can call our own is a special place. And it is something I desperately crave, that I wanted to feel part of something bigger. And I think everybody else does. We just have our own niches and interests, and not all communities are communities that we feel we can fit into.
I 100% get exactly what you mean by that. And I think a lot of people listening to this will also understand that. And I always say this, particularly to, in my other side, where I am also a qualified therapist.
Yeah.
My other side of life is very much saying to people, just because you haven't found it yet doesn't mean it's not there. The situation you find yourself in currently does not have to be the situation you end up with.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, but it's difficult to see that at the time, isn't it? I know it's like being in the middle of a storm and not being able to see the exit. It's hard, and it's very easy. It's easier to give up than it is to carry on in that storm, because carrying on means facing the wind and the rain and the backlash of the storm, and that's a challenge. So, it's not as straightforward as we think. And credit to anyone who carries on, and credit to anyone who feels they can't, because it's tough out there. It's very tough out there. It's okay to stop and to wait and to hold out until the storm passes, because sometimes that storm's just too much.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to touch on the 14-year-old you again, just for a moment.
You might want to, yeah. I mean, it's a long time now. You said you've been in business for a while, but I feel like I'm getting old. 14-year-old me. I'm 23 next month.
So 9 years ago. Yeah. Okay. So but actually, to me, that's where the real story of you begins. Yeah. When I look at it, and it's so important to actually go back to the moment that built the character that you were to become and are becoming. So when I looked at you, what I seen was so much resilience and what I'd term as a growth mindset, as opposed to a fixed mindset. And I think there was perhaps a fixed mindset, and a catalyst has happened in your world that has changed the course and direction of where it's going to go. Now, you sort of like have stated within one of the TED Talks that you've done, where you would see yourself as potentially a serial quitter up to a point, because you state that you quit school, you quit college, which we'll get to, you quit your job that you went into.
A lot of quitting.
But do you know what? It's not quitting. It is you've realized that's not where you're meant to be, and you keep going until all of a sudden you find, right, this is where I'm meant to be. And then all of a sudden you ignite. But in terms of that resilience, when you talk about You went out for a run, you run for 30 seconds. I've been
Yeah.
there. You feel like you're going to die.
Lungs are on fire,
Yeah.
feet are hurting, everything is chafing,
Yeah.
and it's just not nice.
Absolutely. But then keep doing it for 10 weeks and all of a sudden it changes.
It
And
does.
I think that's a real good way to look at life. You're not a quitter. And I know you're not, but I think what you're saying to people there is it's okay to stop doing something if it's not working for you. It's okay to change
Yeah,
direction.
yeah, it is. It is, and it's difficult because I was lucky to have had age and circumstance on my side. I didn't have any bills or overhead or rent
Mm,
or family engagements or whatever it might have been. So I could sit there and go, this is really frustrating me. It's obviously not for me. There's no point in putting my energy in this anymore. And I had the luxury of quitting. Quitting was certainly a luxury, but as we get older, we lose those luxuries and we get more risk adverse. Yeah, I think to be able to quit and to redirect your energy and passion is a luxury these days. So I was lucky because age gave me an advantage, but yeah, not everyone gets the chance to stop and go, whoa, this is maybe not for me.
right. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So I'm just going to talk you through this. So
Go on.
we've just gone through the whole school thing. You go
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
you get grades, which you think you've got somebody else's paper, but they're
I
yours.
think they got it mixed up. Yeah.
You go to college. What did you go to college to study?
I studied construction operations. Yeah,
Right.
that was not something I thought was on the agenda. That was tough. That was, anyone who works in the construction trade and industry, grafters, hard folks, people who know how to work. That sadly was too much graft. I mean, that was too much graft. I couldn't work that hard. That would took a lot of energy, a lot of effort. And, it just wasn't something that I was very passionate about. So, again, got to a point where I had to quit and I had to change because it just didn't feel right for me. But yeah, a lot of respect for those in
Absolutely.
trades.
Absolutely. So you walk out of college
Yeah.
and then you find yourself in a job in marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the official role on paper was marketing, but I was working in this really independent fashion shop in Grimsby, and it was like marketing and sales. So it quite literally just meant updating the Facebook, and if anyone came in asking if they needed help with their shoe size or with their t-shirt size.
Right.
So it sounded very fancy on paper, but I was a retail, I guess, store assistant, and worked on the same guy who owned the shop's land as well. So it was a weird job role. Some days I'd be ripping out trees and shifting shrubs on his land, and then some days I'd be trying to sell a polo shirt. Yeah, but it was my first chance to see a small business. It was my first chance and because it was such a small business, I was with the owner, and the owner had the business for 30, 40, 50 years and had worked in that business and had done so much. So I got to be and spend 10s, 20s, 30, 40 hours a week learning and listening and soaking everything in from somebody who's had a business. And a lot of respect to that guy. He did some good things and he built a good life around him. But I also got to see where he had gone wrong, which was really important for me because I could determine what I then might do myself and what I might try to avoid.
I love this resonates so much with what I always say because it is quite literally people want to get themselves into big corporate companies, and I say, but you're going to have to do a lot to
Yeah.
get near the top. If you go
Yeah.
small business, you're almost right there. You are noticeable very quickly, and I think that is the right way to do it. Get the learning that you can take on, and I love what you just said there about being able to see things from a person and go, I want to role model myself on that, but also from the same person see something and go, but I'm not going to do that. And I've always talked about 3 key people in my life, and all I've done is try and mold myself into take a bit from each of them and become that one, but certainly
Yeah.
not be the sides that I didn't like about them.
You're right, and I think it's again, it was all just happy accident. No, I didn't pick a small
No.
business and go there because I knew the owner had it for 30 years, and I wanted to gather as much information and use that and become an entrepreneur. I don't even call myself an entrepreneur. I only started a business because there were no jobs in what I wanted to do. The only way to do it was being self-employed. it became a business because I accidentally got very good at delivering exercise in care homes, and people wanted me in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire, and it turned out that I needed to find some other people who were very good at delivering exercise in care homes, and then it became a business.
Okay, before we get there, because
Yeah.
that's a big part of what we're going to talk about. So we're now fast forwarding, 17 years old. COVID,
Pandemic.
COVID.
Left college.
I mean,
COVID happened. Yeah.
absolutely. You are stuck in a situation where the world has just
That was wild.
ceased.
I thought it was done. I thought that was it for a minute there. I thought that was, I have seen the end of the world. What, this is it. As if
I've only just left. I've only just left education.
I know. My lifetime is a lifetime for the world to end. Thanks a lot. Fantastic. But lucky escape, dodged the bullet. A lot of, it was a rough situation, and I didn't get to see. I was really protected through COVID. I don't know what the right word is, what I'm trying to find, but I was really shielded from its actual impact. I didn't see everyone in my family survived, everyone who had it with symptoms that, only mildly disturbed them and whatnot. But the care sector was just demolished, absolutely demolished. And some people in the world lost loved ones. And it was terribly scary for some, but for us, we were very, very lucky that it was just stay at home and wait it out. And I thank whoever, whatever, the world, I thank everything in this world that I got to have the best version of it, because there were some that didn't.
Oh, absolutely. And there'll be many people listening to this. There'll be many care managers that listening to this from the world of social care and even healthcare who know what the real impact of it looked like. And, on the basis of that, it's when you hear all these conspiracy theorists and that come out, you can sit there and go, shut up.
You're making a fool out of yourself. You are really, there are people who that was World War III for them. That was pain and trauma. And then there were people like me who were really lucky that it felt like a holiday, stay at home. It was the best year of weather when it broke out. It was the best year of weather I've ever had in my life.
Bailey, I used to get people come to me and say, "Oh, you don't know what it's like, Paul." He goes, "At least you get to work every day still. Where I work is shut down. I'm having to sit at home and get only 80% of my salary." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm not supposed to do this on Behind the Briefcase," but you're like that to them.
There was a Naked Gun episode that I filmed Naked Gun that I watched the other day with my dad, and it makes me think of that, because the guy, what's the main character's name? It's
Liam Neeson.
There's the old ones. The old ones.
Right.
So I think it's Frank.
Yes, it is Frank.
The main guy. He was talking to his mate. He was like, you're really lucky you settled down and you've got a wonderful wife that you've been with for 50 years. It's really tough for me. I have to have a new girl every weekend, and it's again and again and again. It's so much and it's horrible, and I'm always dating, and it's really, really tough for me. But you've got the same lovely wife, and this guy's there. He's going. And so I'm dropping at the mouth and listening to the main character talk. And it's funny how, and I probably shouldn't tell that story here, but it's a comedy, and it's a funny comedy. And it's funny how perspectives can change. And, one character believes that the aim and the dream is to have the wife and be settled down. And the other character's hearing that after having his dream and wishing to be the other person. And I think we always have this grass is greener outcome. So although your colleague there wished he was at work, you wished you were at home, and it can never be right. But I think for anyone,
I'd have even taken 50% of it, because my life went into overdrive during COVID, because myself and my businesses is care homes, domiciliary care, national training business, so everything related to social care. So it was busy times, very empathetic times, watching people go through struggles. But at the same point, you look back, and I tell you what, social care and healthcare have never been as strong and united. They were proud of themselves, and they don't often do that enough. They're never proud of themselves. But during that time, it was like they were wearing superhero capes, and they were going, leave it to us. And they were phenomenal. They really were.
They did the best.
I'm coming back to you. Okay.
To me.
I'm coming back to you. So you're 17 years old. COVID's hit.
Yeah.
And something inside of you says, I'm going to start a business.
Yeah. It wasn't even that. It I'd been boxing and I'd been coaching at my boxing gym to pay for my subs. So to be able to afford going to boxing every single night of the week, I would coach to subsidize that. And so I learned about coaching and I enjoyed coaching. And in the pandemic, there was a newspaper article about how I went from competing to how I'm now going into coaching and sort of wanting to work with communities. And a local group for adults with LD, autism, and that remittance and that world came to me. I said, Bailey, can you just jump on Zoom with us? Can you do a little bit of exercise? We all have to still come into the center. We're social distancing. We, all still can come in. We would love to work with you. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see how that goes. And every week we jump on Zoom for half an hour. It was absolutely free of charge. Again, I didn't know what business was properly. Yeah, we deliver exercise, and those guys were just amazing. I remember when the pandemic lifted, we met for the first time in person. The BBC came down, and it was beautiful, really beautiful. And they were just, and I still work with them now every single week, 5 years. Every Wednesday we do boxing, and we do boxing together, and it's a really special session. And those guys just grafters, and they just welcome everybody in, and they have a different outlook on the world. And I just fell in love with that group called Flourish, which is the name of the organization. It's run by a lovely bloke called Dave in Grimsby. It's a one center location. He works more hours than the week holds and just, does everything so that the guys that access those services come in and have the best time. And the fact that they let me into their community and took me on was, really special. So it dominoed from there. I realized vulnerable groups and communities don't have appropriate access to sport and exercise. And so I spent the next 3 years working with local small charities, community organizations, schools for kids with behavioral issues and LD and SEMH, organizations that supported dementia and Alzheimer's societies, organizations that supported carers. Every group of vulnerable communities I worked with and delivered exercise for, and I sharpened my toolkit and I got better at coaching and got better at speaking and working with people. And it was just me. And, eventually I took on somebody to help me called Sally, who would help get me bookings in and join the team part-time. And, eventually took on bigger contracts, and then started working in care homes and realized just how much help care needed when it came to implementing quality exercise and ensuring residents are still keeping active throughout their later years. And that really took off because of the social media. And then we decided that's it. We've got to choose one group. We have to focus on one. So we realized that social care was the one we cared the most for and could use the most help. It had youth sector, has countless benefits and funding grants and organizations helping it. Everything is to help young people these days, which is great because at one point the government took away everything for young people. So it's nice to see them going back and having the funding and the provisions that they so desperately need. But, older adults, it's sort of like, well, you've worked all your life and you've got your pension. And if you can afford good care, great. If you can't, it's on you. Yeah. So, we really decided that older adults were what we were going to focus on. And that's what we do now. We're a small team of 5, including myself. And we all have our little areas and our little care homes or community organizations that go out and work within, different communities within the social care sector and just try and bring good exercise. We're not specialists. We're not absolute physiotherapists. We're just a bunch of passionate people that know what we're talking about when it comes to exercise for older adults. And we go in and we deliver good quality sessions that are community first, fitness second. And by that, I mean, we get to know the people first. And if the fitness happens, great. If it doesn't, we have spoken and built up relationships and built up the confidence of an older person that might sadly lost that confidence through the difficult period of moving from independence to a care home.
So, Bailey, just dragging it back a little bit, though, you start off, as most businesses do, you're putting your service out there to see whether it has something, if it has legs, if you like.
Yeah.
At what point did you think to yourself, this could actually be a business? Because when you're giving something away for free, you do have that great feeling, but it doesn't pay the bills. So at what point did you think this becomes a career?
It was when I could match my job wage with my business wage.
And so were you working
job and business
at the same time?
And then went fully self-employed when I could match my job wage to my business wage. And
how old were you then, Bailey?
just over 18. Pandemic started getting a bit lighter,
Yeah.
better measures in, started doing a bit more, and managed to put my, it wasn't even a notice, I suppose. It was one of those where it's like I just said, I'm done. Thank you very much for supporting me. I'm sorry, but I know
Yeah.
what I want to do and have to do.
Yeah. So really, this has all happened over the course of a year where you've got yourself to a position where you can financially afford to pay yourself in real terms. Was there anything at that time? You're an 18-year-old at that point, right? Well, have you just literally decided I'm actually going to dedicate my life to growing this and therefore giving up the going out and about as other 18-year-olds would do?
Well, I turned 18 while the pandemic was still really weird.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
it was really blurry for me because in England it was different. Like there was lockdowns, set lockdowns, and there was lifted lockdowns. And like I would be at this part-time job in between lifted lockdowns and actually in the shop. And then during set lockdowns, like I'd go in and work in there on my own. And then between that, I'd do my actual side hustle between lifted lockdowns and all that stuff. So it's a really weird and blurry time. It's hard to recall it properly, but it was one of them where it just, again, it wasn't even about having a business. It was just like, okay, I enjoy this and I could either work this job or I could put more energy into this. And what I'm earning now is sufficient because I'm still live at home, or I could quit that and go full time and see how far we can take it. Was it just let's see how far we can go?
So do you know the Bailey that turned around and said he didn't want to do something because it was too hard graft?
Yeah,
it's hard graft, isn't it, Bailey?
Yeah, it is.
Now you're thinking back,
the
you've
hardest.
not stopped grafting.
No, it's ridiculous. Gosh, I mean, self-employment and business ownership is rock solid. I wish somebody had told me, to be honest. It just said, look, mate, are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? Do you know how? I mean, it's different levels of graft, isn't it? It's mentally straining.
Yes.
It's absolutely, yeah. I had hair down to my knees before this, so it's slowly going up and up and up. I'm losing it.
There is no business owner, CEO, founder, entrepreneur, whatever title you want to give the person, who has not got a story of sitting on the kitchen floor, pulling their hair out, going, why did I do that? In fact, I would put money on it. I would put money on it. We all want to quit every week of our life, but knew we had to get out of bed to keep it going, because now comes the next bit. When you're self-employed and you are managing to be able to pay yourself, which won't be an extreme amount of money,
wage, I'm on minimum wage.
There we go, right? So it's not creating a lifestyle of luxury. You're not at the get the yacht round Monaco just yet for the Grand Prix. So
well, no, not yet. Maybe next week. It doesn't die yet, does it?
But then another thing happens in business, and I'm sure I love the fact that I'm able to speak to you about this because you're on the journey of it, and that's when all of a sudden you recruit someone, and now all of a sudden you now have this, I don't know, this feeling that I have to make them secure. I have to make sure they get
not about me anymore.
Yeah,
it's
exactly
not just
that.
me. Yeah, and then you do it again, and then
you do it again and again
and again. It's scary. It's absolutely terrifying. Some nights I genuinely cannot sleep. It is one of the most scary things I have ever done in my life. Having a team, having a business, having clients. It's beautiful because I'm doing what I said I would do, and I am making a real impact on older adults across the country. But some nights I struggle to sleep. It's terrifying. And that's just business ownership. You take that risk and that is it. Some people can't handle it and they quit, and fair enough. Well done for trying. Thank you very much. Maybe one day I'll be you too. But for now, I am cracking on.
No, listen, if I'm still alive in 30 years' time, I'll interview you again, and we'll see where we're at. But I guarantee you're still there saying, keep going. I've got 400 people that work for me now. It's because it never leaves. It's like somebody will say to me, why'd you put yourself through it all the time? And I've gone from sort of like it was just me at one point to now there's 450 people that depend on certain decisions that I make whether they have a job. And it's not just a job, it's a salary, it's paying the mortgage, it's putting food on the table. And it's a huge burden. It's a huge burden to have, but a privileged one at the same point, because you're able to give that opportunity.
Yeah, and it means we can do what we said we were going to do. It means that now older adults across the country are having our services on a regular basis because I choose to keep going and have this beautiful team of mine that really care and are really good at what they do. And so that risk is worth it. When we go into a care home and see a session being ran by one of my team members, or just hear and read the weekly reports of how the sessions have gone and the progress of certain individuals being cared, that makes it worth it. That's all the stress confined, and it just goes, well, we're doing what we said we were going to do.
Absolutely, 100%, and that's what will keep you going. So there's a couple of things I want to touch on here. One for the younger audience, and then one probably for me, and certainly your clientele. So when you started out you decided to make it a business, at any point, did you understand anything when you spoke to an accountant for the first time?
Gosh, what a terrifying conversation. My accountants are fantastic, but I have this suspicion that they might hate me. And that's not because of anything they've said. And that's not because of how they have been great. They, are absolutely amazing and sit with me and meet with me and take my phone calls every single time and are so understanding. I just know that if somebody called me as much as I called them and asked me as many questions as I called them, I'd start to get mildly irritated because I must call them every single day. What's this? Why did it happen? What's going on? Where does this go? What does that do? What does this mean? Because for me, I come from a single mother of supported off the benefit system of social housing. We never had money. My family filed for bankruptcy at a very young age because of the mistakes my dad's had made. So money for us was not existent. It wasn't a real thing. So now financially, that is my top priority. Cash flow is, touch wood, something I've always focused on. And there never is a month. And I hear these entrepreneurs, and again, maybe it's because I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not one of those guys, but I hear these guys out there and gals out there, and I say guys as a whole thing. I don't know why I use the word guys. I mean anybody and everybody out there, but I hear them talk about not being able to pay the staff or getting to the end of the month and going, I don't know if I can afford payroll this month. That's never happened. Touch wood, and I never want it to happen, but I paid myself absolutely peanuts to make sure it hasn't happened because they come first, and cash flow is priority, and it's more important than anything else in the business. Is there enough money coming in to pay the team? Because if not, then what are you doing for? Unless you're looking at investors and you're buying time, all that businessy stuff that I don't relate to. We're a service-based business. We're out there purely because we just want to ensure all the people access exercise. We're not entrepreneurs. We're not looking for investors and seed funding. That's not us, and I'm okay with that because that sounds even more stressful. But for me, it's always been about, is there enough cash in the pot? Because I've come from a place where there has never been any cash in the pot.
And do you know what, Bailey? Keep that attitude, because I think there's a lot of us could turn around and tell you we've all made that mistake. So for every pound you spend, you kind of want to know what the return on investment for it is. And when you're a smaller company starting out, you are scrutinizing every spend. What do I get out of this? Can I do it myself?
Yeah.
And the problem is, as when you start to become what you would term cash rich, and I would always term cash rich in a business, when you know that if everything stopped, the business could still survive for 6 months, which is where a lot of people tried to place themselves before COVID. The ones that only had 2 months worth were in trouble. So, but the problem is now you've got more money. So you get fooled into if I spend more, because you hear this word, spend to accumulate. But now you've got what I class, and it's wrong to say it, but it's almost like the vultures start circling for your money. Yeah. And that can be PR agency. Nobody will ever speak to me from PR now. They can be PR agents. Oh, we can make your business 20 times bigger. It's all about SEO content. It's all about this. And all of a sudden you're writing checks for 20 grand that you would never have done previously. And you're realizing the results are exactly the same as what you had in the first place. Now, the one thing that I've noticed about you is, and I think this is something that a lot of people, certainly, the under 30s, if you like, really have got hold of the idea of it, and the over 30s are still trying to come to terms with it to work out how to make it right. Your social media influence is huge. So where did that come from?
It was just a point in which, when we decided that we wanted to help social care as a whole, we doubled down and we realized that that was what we were passionate about. We sent out a load of emails and a load of phone calls and were told a couple of things. We can't afford you. We don't want you. Our residents don't care about exercise. That's not true. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm the best and we're the greatest, but like from the ones we have worked with, that's not true. We know there's some level of budget there for activities, and we know that residents would be avid cyclists, tennis players, walkers, even before they went into care, and then go in for. And the sector's a lot better now, but post COVID, it was very difficult. Activities were not on the priority list,
Absolutely.
so would not have any access to exercise, or very little access as it was, and we just thought, surely not. Surely the sector we just decided we were going to focus on is not going to spit us out, chew us up and spit us out. That's not how it works, right? We knew you guys were looking for help. And we've worked in a lot of care homes already and realized how much of an impact it's made. It can't be true. So we had to switch it up, and switching it up was just putting everything on the internet and showing people what they're missing out and why the residents would benefit from it and how that looks, and just being brutally honest and transparent, setting nothing up. It started just with me passing my phone to a HCA or an activities coordinator, asking them to record a 1 minute clip, and that clip getting 1,000 views on a Tuesday, and then recording something else, and on the Friday it got 1 million views, and you go, what's happened? Wow.
I looked at some of those videos that got millions of views. You've kind of conquered TikTok for social care.
Yeah, for social care, I think we're doing pretty well. For the world of social media, we are just a drop in the ocean. But for social care, we're doing all right for ourselves. And it just came out of a need to switch things up. And that was it, to show people by people. And that is such a commonly used phrase in business, almost overused. I hate it when I hear someone, but I used to sit there in business talks, and that's something else I've always struggled with, sitting there and listening to somebody else who'd done it talk to me. And you think, yeah, okay, whatever, because you're just eager to go and try it yourself. And the biggest thing I hated to hear was people buy people. And it's like, well, yeah, but no one's replying to my LinkedIn messages, and the networking sessions are not going very well. So how are they going to buy me?
If you spoke to my marketing team, Billy, so when I had used lots of outsourcing marketing for the businesses, I spent, even when you look at it, you're talking millions, right? And you're going, hold on a minute, I've still got more followers on my own LinkedIn than what they're bringing to the table. So I kind of looked at it and thought, no, do you know what I need to do? I need to stop thinking that I know marketing and all these people know marketing. So I actually put an advert out and basically said, looking for free disruptors to disrupt the hell out of my marketing. I have no clue how to do it. I have all the tried and tested theories. If you come to me with those tried and tested theories, you're not going to get the job. And basically done a few teams interviews and had lots of applicants, few teams interviews, and the 3 people I got literally will never look at traditional stuff and go, that's how we're going to do it, because the market changes that much that you've definitely got to switch it up.
Well, that's what we had to do, and we've had to switch it up so many times during our social media world. But we decided to double down and to show people why I care and why I do it. And we did that on socials, and we just got lucky. We just got lucky and consistent. We managed to swap from a phone recording the videos to a cameraman. And that was it. And that brought the business in. And now our actual New Year's goals are to stop so much on me and start a little bit more on my team.
That's the difficulty. So in my businesses, I had the same issue. Actually, it became, because I put myself out there almost as the brand, then I was speaking at all the care shows, all the networking events. And it was Paul Blaine. It was Paul Blaine's company. And I said, no, the company's got to be able to stand on its own. So you try and pull yourself away from it. But then marketing said, oh no, we need you back. You've got to stand in front. It's
our plan is just to copy and paste what we're doing and replicate the formula of success by recording our coaches in their natural element, doing their real jobs, and put that on Be a Great Fitness as well, so that people fall in love with Ellie and Joanne and Dobroslav, and obviously not Sally. Sally is in the office. Maybe we'll shove a camera in her face.
Absolutely. So, I need to ask this question. It's probably come a bit too early from where the other questions are, but Faye, who you met from before from my team, was like, you have to ask him about Robbie Williams. So you have to tell me about it.
Yeah, Rob's a good guy. He's a good lad. He's a nice fella. And rest in peace, Norma, bless her soul. What a special woman she was. I worked with her a couple of times during some of my work in exercise, and then also some of my work in the viral show that I host called Old Friend Club. And she's a beautiful lady, and she was getting her hair done one day. She was going to go see Robbie Williams tribute at a local pub, the care home. We're doing a Make-A-Wish thing for all the residents, where residents said, what was your wish? And the care home did their very best at making it come true. And, they managed to get everything. And you might know how difficult it is to get a resident to a pub on a Saturday night. The forms, the checks, the insurance
assessments. Yeah,
it's no easy feat. So they've done it all. They've gone through all the effort. I saw her in the chair getting her hair done. I said, Norma, where are you going? You look fantastic, glamorous. And she said, I'm off to see Robbie Williams. I'm a massive fan. My cameraman was with us anyway because we were doing something separate. And I just said, Caden, come in here and start. My cameraman, by the way, Caden Ali, Block Multimedia. I'm sorry to plug, but he's a dreamboat. He's incredible at what he does. He's just managed to come along for the journey. He's a real talented fella. And he was with us, and he said, I just said to him, start rolling the camera. And we just rolled, and she just said how she's been a fan for so long and how some of his work was better, in her opinion, than Frank Sinatra. And if she could meet him, it would be a dream. And we put it on the internet. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks went by, and he FaceTimed us on a Thursday night just before Christmas. We surprised Norma, brought the cameraman, and we were on a video call with him for about 25 minutes, talking away, having a catch up, and just really, really special stuff. Sadly, Norma passed away last month, I believe, a good few weeks ago now. Yeah, it's a beautiful story, and my heart goes out to her and the family to know that we helped make one of her wishes come true in her last few weeks. Was just everything the sector stands for and more.
Absolutely. It's incredible. No wonder she asked me to ask you. What a brilliant story. Absolutely.
It's great. International media, international news. We were on Australian TV, New Zealand TV, US TV, breakfast TV in England. We were on most of the newspapers, the Mirror, the Independent, Gazette, whatever else, the New Zealand Independent, New Zealand Herald. It went pretty viral. So in her last few weeks of her life, she was a superstar. There was press in almost every week. She had to get her makeup done all the time. She was in front of a camera more than she was in front of her dining table. It was a busy time, and she loved every minute of it. She said, I feel so special and so loved, and I've never, I never imagined this would be what I'd be doing with my last few, years. And when she moved into a care home, she certainly didn't expect to be turned into a superstar herself, but that is what we, the care home, Tanglewood Care Homes, Hubbardston House, and myself and my team did for her, and it was a joint effort. Yeah, really special.
I love it. That is true partnership in business, working with people who all have the same aim for the person they're supporting.
You only work in care if you care, Paul, and that's it.
I get that 100%. Okay, let's actually get a gist then, because we've had a lot of talk around your journey, how we got to where you got to, and believe it or not, near enough, an hour has gone past already. So
wow,
absolutely, it's flying. So I guess I get to the point of you've talked a little bit around it, but what is it that your business actually does? What in terms of the classes, the type, etc.
It's really simple, Paul. We just deliver good quality exercise classes within care homes on a regular basis, and that's it. Our team of coaches travel around their areas, and they see their care homes on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly, if budgets allow, basis, ensuring that they all participate in some form of fun, interactive, and quality exercise class. That is it.
And how long do the classes normally last?
45 minutes to an hour, usually group sessions. Recently, we've started participating in research projects, working with the NHS. We did a year-long project with Bupa. We've worked with some really top organizations, which we're really proud of. And our research projects with the NHS have helped us co-create in collaboration with Care England, 2 white papers that have proven just how important exercise is within older adult social care. And recently I got to take them to the Minister for Care, Stephen Kinnock, and ask him a load of questions about the next 10 years and what's in the plan. And that was really special because I'm a boots on the ground kind of guy. I work every single week in care homes in the community. It's nice to be able to fluctuate and go and talk about policy and change at the top level, and then go and work in the care homes the next day in the boots on the ground level.
So you really passionately believe that what you do is making a difference.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's actually, I mean, if you don't believe it, I'm trying to not insult somebody. Sorry, Paul.
No,
If you
feel free.
don't,
Insult.
well, it's difficult because if you don't believe that exercise can positively benefit humans, human race, to society as we are, if you don't believe that movement is good for you, then I don't know. I don't know what to say because it's actual factual science. It's real. There's a million papers on it. Move more, and your body will last longer and prolong. The stats are scary, Paul. Every day an older adult is bedbound and doesn't move, they lose around 10% muscle mass. Don't hold me to that, but those are stats that we read just the other day. It's terrifying. Every single day that somebody doesn't move, they are deconditioning. They are wearing away. It's terrifying. So we're not inventing something. We're not saying, we've invented this new type of exercise and it's revolutionary. We're just saying that they should be exercising. Why is there not an exercise focus in care? You go to Canada, you go to Australia, they have 2 in-house physios. I know the care systems are different. I know there's different financial methods and funding, but for goodness sake, get your residents moving, please. It's vital.
It's more than proven. It's completely the evidence that backs it up, but also we're all human beings. So we know that when we move more, we feel fitter and better. And it's not just physical health, is it? I mean, it's mental health as well.
Gosh, absolutely. And I might say something controversial here, but the care sector very much especially private sector, has a focus on bums in beds marketing. And I'm very thankful because I do marketing partnerships with some amazing organizations. It's about ensuring that residents or potential residents out there can see your care home, understand how beautiful it is, and decide to live with you, as opposed to the care home 10 miles down the road. Scary now these days, 2 miles down the road. There's a care home on every street. It's a rapidly growing industry, but we are fighting to get people signed up, and that's just business in every sector. It's fighting, in marketing, in sales, in any other realm. It's about getting your eyes and your pockets on us and basically securing others as a customer. But if you looked after your residents' health and got them active and moving and allowed them to live a bit of a longer life, you maybe don't have to put as much into marketing because they're still residents and they're still alive and they're still in your care and remittance for a bit longer. So you wouldn't be scrambling that much. If we invest in our residents while they live in our care homes, they're going to last longer, live longer. And when I say live, I mean really live, prosper longer within our care homes and be customers for so much longer, so that you don't have to put that extra bit of money into the marketing budget to try and fill the bed again. Naturally, we're an industry where sadly there's a high turnaround of residents. It's a sad industry. It's the end of the physical world that we all live in for most people. At some point, you are going to lose a resident. That's just it. That's it. They're an older adult. They are going to come to the end of their life, which is, very upsetting. But if we can help them live longer in our care, then maybe we can help them live longer for a few more weeks, a few more months, and live better lives. And I very much think exercise is the answer to that. Of course, I'm going to say that because guess what? I own an exercise company. But don't work with us then. If you're watching this and you work in care, don't use our services. Go and book somebody else. It's not about marketing me and my team. It's about the health and well-being of your residents. So this is genuinely a call out to anybody watching this. It's not about me trying to sell my work. We're doing okay. When the bills are paid, the staff are paid, everybody in our team is doing all right, and the residents we work with are doing all right. Go and work with whoever you want to work with. Pick a local PT. Just invest in your residents. Make sure they have access to exercise. It's vital.
Bailey, in terms of the business model as it sits right now, because I've got 1,000 things going through my head as you're speaking, and you're probably already there or it's engineered towards that. But if you look at the vast amount of care homes there is all over the country and the amount of people that you have, it's it's going to be a slow burner to get to everybody. In terms of the business itself, is there like the online variation of this? Is there the tune in every week method?
We tried, but I don't think the sector's there yet. Technically, once we've done it really well, it's a tough one to
Yeah.
crack. But you can't beat human physical interaction. And I would love for us to reach more people. And we've tried to create an online platform, and it's a tough one. It's a very tough one because you just can't be a physical person going in, especially for this generation, and delivering exercise and having that physical contact, that face-to-face work, that in real-time adaptation. So yeah, there's maybe a market for it, definitely within the next 20 years, the way society is going. Should there be a market for it? I don't know. Maybe we should rebel against the technological uprising. Maybe we should try and keep things in person.
Absolutely.
From a business point of view, yeah, absolutely. What a, brilliant. But
Yeah.
I never got into this to make money. And so it's just about, are we helping the people we sell to? Yes. Can we do it better? Yeah, we'll try. But right now, online seems a little bit difficult to tackle.
But yeah, I just think that what you're doing is incredible. I absolutely buy into it 100%. I believe it should be part of the budget. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Being in care myself or particularly social care, for how long now? 32 years. So 32 years within the industry. I've seen the evolvement of the industry, but I still see things like bingo and crochet and painting Easter eggs.
Which has its place. Yeah.
It does, but not. Listen, Bailey, I go to the gym 5 days a week. Okay. Yeah. I'm potentially, if you look at it, if I was to look at the youngest person in my care home, and certainly if I brought domiciliary care into it, I could go even younger, then I'm potentially 12 years away.
Yeah.
From being in a care home.
From being in adult social care, yeah.
I'm being honest. If you try and play bingo with me, or we are going to be getting bottles and painting them, or rocks and painting them. I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but I would want much more activity from a physical presence when I get there, because I would not. And you mentioned before, you got lots of people that play cricket, tennis, went running. They had lots of social fitness activities within their life, probably right up to the point of something happening in their life that meant they went now on the journey where they needed care. So I think that care homes, this should be a big part of the budget, because it sits within the health side of the resident, and it should be a part of the care planning as well. When we write activity in a care planning, there's a lot of stuff on there about mobility, but within that care plan, it's normally assisted stand of 2 people, use a Zimmer frame for all walking techniques. It is not actually, what are we doing to promote the mobility of the person instead of assist the mobility of the person? And I think that's a big part that people need to start to buy into. And certainly when you talk about the groups that you've worked with, like Tanglewood and Bupa, people will look in that and say, well, they have the finances to support it. But actually, everybody has the finances to support this, because it's for the good of the client. And eating will get much better. Nutrition will get much better as a result of this. Sleeping will get much better as a result of this. So there's so many other factors that sit with it.
We'll see change, Paul. We have maybe 2 active generations, maybe 2.5, that we've been seeing the world of business change, because my generation and the generation under me and part of your generation are the first to genuinely care about what goes in your body and what does that body do. And so you see it. Greg's put out something the other day, like, I've seen a loss in profits because it's now more popular to spend your money on the gym. Gyms are losing money. And I saw this the other day because they rely on the fact that people pay memberships but don't show up. And now everybody's showing up. So it's difficult. So I think care is going to change massively over the next 10, 15, 20 years, because those that go into the homes are going to be expecting more physical activities, physical entertainment.
Yeah, I 100%. And we have to change with those times as well. Including to the point of not just and I did this with people that work within my organizations by saying, if you will sign up to a gym this year, we will pay the first 3 months membership. Because what I discovered as well, I go to the gym for about an hour and a half, 5 days a week. That is my absolute stress relief, 100%. And if I've missed it, everybody will soon find out that I've missed it. So I know that I have teams of people that work with me that actually have to be physically fit to do the job. Carers have to be physically fit to do their job.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we should be doing everything from a nutrition to a health benefit package to actually help them to have the tools and the fitness to be able to carry out the job. Otherwise, injuries and sickness will follow. And I often look at companies with high sickness or high turnover and say, yeah, but you're charging them for lunch. You're not giving them free water throughout the day. There's so many things that you can do to help that person to be healthier, and you're not. But yet you're sending them on training on how to make somebody else healthier and the right things.
Yeah, it does start with the team and the ethics of the business, and
it does.
And absolutely help runs all the way through.
Absolutely. Bailey, I would sit here normally and say, how will people find you? You're not going to be very difficult to find, but
just Google
there will be some people that watch this, I promise you now, that will want to reach out to you. And that will be, I mean, if you take my business, social care and the training business, we look after 9,000 sites across the UK from a training perspective. There'll be many of those people that watch this. So they will be very interested to learn more about this. So just signpost them now on how they're going to contact you.
If you really want to speak to me, it's Bailey, Bailey at begreatfitness.org. If you kind of want to speak to me, just Google my name, Bailey Greetham, and all of my social medias and references will come up, and you can reach out on any of those apps. But a direct way to get to me is my email address. I get a lot of message requests these days. So yeah, if you want to get straight to me, please email me. And I'm really keen on working with all organizations, no matter how big or small. It's important to show how crucial well-being can be in every organization. So don't worry if you think I've got these followers and if that excludes me and puts me on a different level. It doesn't. I work in very independent care homes every single day that are just one home, on their own and not part of a chain. And then I work with national care homes as well. It's everyone should have access to exercise, and yeah, I'm willing to speak to and work with absolutely anybody.
Bailey, just one last thing on that, and this is out of interest for me. Are you a national business, or are you just located in a certain?
Yeah, we're national now. So we are expanding slowly, very slowly, which is important because there are real human lives at the end of what we do. But we work in Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, and the Midlands, and are looking to now expand down south a little bit further and into the west, sort of Manchester, Liverpool way as well.
Love it. Brilliant. Bailey, you know fine well that you would have been sent through this question sheet that I'm supposed to ask questions to.
Yeah, how many did you ask?
None. I don't think any. So huge apologies if you read it and thought, oh, I've worked out answers to these.
I'll let you off.
I think there's one that we do normally always ask. Is it in here? Yeah. But you have actually kind of answered it. If you could leave one piece of advice, lesson, or reminder for anyone listening, whether building a business, leading a team, or just figuring out life out, what would it be?
I think I always go back to just the sheer ability to persevere. I think when you start a business, it should be purely out of a place of passion and care. It should be something that you're doing because you know you can make a difference and you want to change it. Businesses these days are not, well, they are, but for me, businesses are not about making money. They are about something that's happened to you using real life experience and your own trauma to go and make that better for others. If you come from a place of passion, when you hit the speed bumps that are, I'm sorry to say it, inevitable, you go over those speed bumps a lot more easier when your passion's behind it than if you're just doing it to make a bit of money.
Absolutely, 100%. Passion, money might follow. That's
I hope so. There's bills to pay, so yeah, I hope so.
Bailey, I think you've been incredible. I've absolutely loved this. You have been incredible. You're brilliant to listen to.
I've enjoyed it myself.
Your reason for doing this is you as soon as you speak, it shouts loud and clear, and it's for the absolute right reasons. I wish you the absolute best of success. And certainly I'm hoping that I know I'm going to reach out to you after this and we'll pick up an offline conversation because I know there's lots that we can do to help you as well in terms of, I don't need to get your name out there, but certainly getting you to speak to other people.
Thank you so much, Paul.
It's been brilliant. And if you've listened to all of this, which I hope you have, I'm sure you're looking at this and going, wow, this young man here is exactly where some of you were, and you remember those days. So it may just have ignited something back on you to sort of like go, yeah, that's where the passion came from, the ambition and the desire, that it really gets you motivated. I love doing these because I always leave thinking, oh yeah, that I'm inspired by that, and I am truly inspired. And we can be inspired by so many different people that we speak to. It is such a key thing to always surround yourself with people that do inspire you, and they're not the people that actually try and talk you out of things that you really believe you should be doing. That is it for another episode of Behind the Briefcase. We have had Bailey with us. You know, I'm not going to say his whole name again because just
No need.
And watch his TikTok videos and be the 10th million viewer of it. It's quite incredible, the journey. The one I really enjoyed was a TEDx talk. It was
Nice
great
one.
to listen to
I'd
that.
like to go back and do that again. I was 18 when I did that. I know a lot more now. I was young and naive when I did that, but yeah.
Yes, I haven't watched that, and there's lots. Go to his website, which is www.
BeGreatFitness.org.
Yeah, go there. There's lots of stuff on there. There's lots of what they do, how they do it, contacts, etc., like that as well. When this podcast gets released, which obviously it has because you're watching it, if you want to put any comments in below, put some comments in below and we'll pass them on. There's no problem with that. And I will let you go now because I'm sure those of you that have been walking on a treadmill for the last hour and a half are wanting to get off it because that's where I always listen to my podcast from. So, yeah, go and enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever it may be, weekend. And thank you very much for being part of the show. Bailey, thank you very much, mate. Honestly.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Much appreciated. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Loved it. Okay, next time I will see you on Behind the Briefcase with another fantastic guest. But for now, goodbye.